Hi, and welcome to my river trout fishing tips video. Before we begin, you may want to jump across to fly-fishing-revealed.com and grab your free copy of 101 Fly Fishing Tips ebook. Here we have 6 tips for fly fishing beginners and above. Tip 1. Use a floating line. With so many types of different fly lines and characteristics, it's hard to choose which one is best. As a beginner, I would recommend the weighted forward floating line, as it's by far the easiest to manipulate. Tip 2. Dry fly or wet fly. Knowing what fly to use, dry or wet, is simple. If you see splashes on top of the water, then the trout are feeding on the surface and you will use a dry fly. If you don't see any rises of the fish, then try a wet fly. Obviously this method will be hard to use in riffles, but in runs and pools it should work just fine. A third tip is when to change your fly. Sometimes it just comes down to the day, temperature of the water, and oxygen level for how interested a trout is into feeding. So if you're not having any luck, just keep going for at least 15 minutes before swapping out your fly. And just because a trout was not interested in a fly one day, still feel free to try it on another, as their food sources change throughout the year. Learn to read the river. 90% of trout are actually only in 10% of the water. Learn to identify trout lies in the different areas of the river. You will have a lot more luck when blind fishing if you present your lure or fly where the trout are most likely looking for food. Tip 5. Cast on an angle. It is good practice when fly fishing to cast upstream on an angle. This is so that only your fly moves downstream above the trout. If you are casting upstream from directly below your intended path, then your line and leader will be passing directly over the fish. Often the fish will get spooked from either seeing the line or the shadow it projects. And the final tip, trout like it cold. When targeting trout in the summer, it's a great idea to look for cooler water. A couple of places to find cooler water is the bottom of deep pools or where tributaries bring in cooler water joining the river. In lakes, often where the river flows into the lake is bringing in cold water. Use these great tips next time you're out on the river, and you may find your next strike will be easier to get. Thank you for listening. For some great fly fishing resources and tips, please visit www.fly-fishing-revealed.com and feel free to grab your free copy of 100 Fly Fishing Tips ebook. Thank you.